For 15 consecutive years, the opening of the European clay court swing meant one thing: Novak Djokovic stepping onto the pristine courts of the Monte-Carlo Country Club. It was a rite of spring. It was his home event. But in 2026, the 24-time Grand Slam champion has abruptly severed that 15-year streak. Novak Djokovic is out of Monte Carlo. But if you think this is merely a case of an aging champion resting weary bones, you aren't looking at the numbers. Today, we are diving deep into the stunning statistical anomalies, the physiological realities of the ATP Tour in 2026, and the strategic master plan that led the greatest player of all time to abandon his home tournament. To understand the withdrawal, we first have to unpack the Monte Carlo mirage. For a man who lived in the Principality for years, Djokovic's historical record at this specific Masters 1000 is staggeringly uncharacteristic. Look at the data. Out of 9 ATP 1000 events, Monte Carlo represents his absolute worst hunting ground. He holds a 39-16 win-loss record here. While a 71% win rate would be a career-defining peak for a journeyman, for Novak Djokovic, it is a glaring statistical baseline. He has played Monte Carlo 18 times, tied with the Italian Open for his most frequent Masters appearance. Yet, he has only lifted the trophy twice, in 2013 and 2015. To put that in perspective, Djokovic has won every other Masters event on the calendar more than twice. In 8 of those 18 appearances, he didn't even survive to see the quarterfinals. The optics suggest that the slow, grinding nature of the sea-level clay in Monaco simply neutralizes the precision and court penetration that define his modern game. But why is Monte Carlo his kryptonite? It comes down to physics, physiology, and the reality of being a professional tennis player approaching the age of 39. Monte Carlo is played at sea level. The air is thick, and the clay is famously heavy, especially during the often damp April mornings on the Mediterranean coast. For a tennis ball to penetrate the court here, a player must generate an immense amount of their own kinetic energy. At 39 years old, the physiological toll of sliding, grinding, and muscling the ball through heavy sea-level air is a recipe for joint degradation and muscle fatigue. We saw historical precedents for this late-career schedule management with Roger Federer, who famously skipped the entire clay swing between 2017 and 2018 to preserve his knees for Wimbledon. Djokovic isn't abandoning the clay, but he is applying a similar surgical precision to his calendar. He knows that wasting finite physical reserves on a tournament that has historically frustrated him is a tactical error he can no longer afford. This decision also raises significant questions about the financial and logistical realities for the ATP Tour. The Monte Carlo Masters relies heavily on the star power of the game's titans. With Rafael Nadal's historic dominance in the rearview mirror and Djokovic now withdrawing, the tournament loses an undeniable chunk of its global television draw. The absence of a 24-time major champion inevitably impacts early-round viewership and creates a sudden vacuum in the draw. However, from Djokovic's camp, the tour's financial implications are secondary to his singular, defining goal: peaking for Roland Garros and the pursuit of further Grand Slam history. So, where does the Serbian sniper focus his sights next? All signs point to the Spanish capital. According to Madrid Open Tournament director Feliciano Lopez, Djokovic remains heavily committed to playing the event. Lopez recently noted that Djokovic has the unique ability to play very little and still be fighting for the big titles at almost 40 years old. This transition from Monaco to Madrid is a stroke of tactical genius. Unlike Monte Carlo, the Madrid Open is played at an altitude of over 600 meters. The air is thinner. The ball flies faster. The clay courts play almost like a hard court with a dusty surface. For Djokovic, this means shorter rallies, freer points on his serve, and less grinding on his hips and knees. He has won Madrid 3 times, his last victory coming in 2019, and the conditions perfectly suit the aggressive, first-strike tennis he relies on in the twilight of his career. It is the perfect bridge tournament to fine-tune his movement before the grueling tests of Rome and Paris. Ultimately, Novak Djokovic's withdrawal from Monte Carlo isn't a sign of weakness. It's a masterclass in athletic self-preservation. It is the calculated sacrifice of a battle to ensure victory in the war. He is shedding the emotional and physical baggage of his worst Masters event to optimize his launchpad in Madrid. But I want to hear from you. Does skipping his home tournament in Monte Carlo give Djokovic the physical edge he needs to conquer Roland Garros in 2026? Or is the lack of match play a dangerous gamble for a player nearing 40? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you want more raw, unfiltered, and data-driven tennis investigations, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, keep your eye on the ball, and we'll see you on the court.